All right, for this second video, and I think I'm only doing a couple videos today, there was a real good article at Silver Doctors that caught my eye that I definitely want to discuss, especially because it relates to silver. And it's titled Manipulation Crushed Profit Margins at Largest Primary Silver Mining Producer. And they link to a leaked cable from 1974 in which our government pretty much said we need to manipulate the precious metals because we don't want Americans holding physical metals. That's basically what it said. But to start with, and this says this profit margin trend at the world's largest primary silver mining company has experienced a rapid decline over the past several years. Fresno PLC in Mexico is the largest primary silver mining company in the world. Last year, Fresno produced 47 million ounces of silver and 762,000 ounces of gold. For all their hard work, Fresnillo's profit margin versus its cost of sales fell to an all-time low of 7%. Keyword, all-time low. Profit. In 2015. This can most certainly be blamed on market intervention, which I will discuss in more detail in upcoming articles, he says. And this is actually from SRS Rocco. The chart below, let's take a little look at that. The chart below shows how the company's cost of sales has increased to $1.01 billion, while their attributable profit fell to only $70 million. Now, if you look at this from 2005, 6, 7, 8, 9, then 11. Remember what happened in 2011? Gold shot up $1,900. Silver shot up $49. Looks like that green line is a good line on this chart. And then what happened? Next year, not so good. Year after that, really not so good. 2014 after that, definitely not so good. And finally 2015, wow, this really sucks. So one thing I've said over and over again is you can only squeeze these producers with these low prices to a certain extent. And when they start to become unprofitable, you're going to have to let the price rise. You're going to have to let the price rise if you're the club, or else you're going to cause a major supply issue, an issue you don't want to deal with. Or maybe they don't care. Screw it. Let's let them collapse. We'll buy them up for pennies on the dollar and then let the price rise. You know how the club rolls. They could do that. Now compare the huge difference between the 2015 figures to 2005. In 2005, Fresnillo's cost of sales were only $196 million versus their attributable profit of $136 million. Thus, the company's attributable profit margin to their cost of sales was 70%, 10 times higher than it was in 2015. Even though the numbers are different, 10 times higher than in 2015. Furthermore, Fresno produced a lot more silver and gold in 2015 versus 2005. Even though Fresnillo increased their silver production significantly over the past decade, it is their gold production that experienced the most rapid growth. However, the company enjoyed a much higher profit margin on its costs of sales in 2005 when it was producing a lot less gold and silver. So even though they're producing more, their profits were phenomenally better in 2005. If we look at the chart, the same chart, whatever, we can clearly see that the attributable profits for 2013 and 2015 were about the same as what Fresnillo PLC made from 2005 to 2008, but the cost of sales were 3 to 4 times less during the early production than they were from 2013 to 2015. As we can see, something clearly changed on Fresnillo PLC's income statement after 2012. Again, this was due to market intervention by the Federal Reserve and central banks via the bullion banks' paper trading markets. That being said, I need to clarify a few things. While the chart above shows Fresno's cost of sales, this does not include all their total costs. The cost of sales figures only represent what takes place at the actual mine. If we add additional costs such as administration, exploration, selling expenses, and even income tax, the total, more realistic cost is much higher. So thus, Fresno's attributable profit of $70 million was even less at only 5% when we compare it to their total revenue of $1.44 billion. Fresno's capital expenditures have jumped nearly 8 times while profits have evaporated. So let's take a look at this little chart. 2005 to 2015. Purchase of plant, property, and equipment over here. Down here, purchase of plant, property, and equipment. Just the expenses are just getting higher and higher and higher. Again, you can't have the stagnant low price silver and just sit there while everything else around you is going up. Not going to happen. Something has to give, and that give is the price of precious metals ultimately going up. Fresno's capital expenditures were $475 million in 2015. $475 million in 2015 versus only $61 million in 2005. Again, massive difference in costs. The increased capital costs were due to expansion of new projects as well as increased higher sustaining capital costs. It would have been nice for Fresno to make better profits on the large amount of capital and money they spend to provide gold and silver to the market. I stated in the beginning of the article that market intervention was the cause of Fresnillo's deteriorating profit margins. While many things can be blamed on market intervention or manipulation, new evidence released from WikiLeaks cables published on GATA's website, which is the Gold Antitrust Action Committee, I think, states that it was done on purpose to keep the public from hoarding physical gold, just like we all suspected. They don't want us, the sheep, the people, whatever, figuring out what real money is and then hoarding it, which their words of hoarding doesn't really mean hoarding. It just means buying it and holding it in your possession. You own 5 coins, you're hoarding it, it's according to them, right? I don't want to be on the other side of someone, like someone that doesn't have any precious metals when all this crap gets dealt with. Again, I think with Donald Trump at the helm, this type of manipulation and stuff may just go away. And it's like, I remember the old story about the pendulum. When the pendulum's supposed to be somewhere in the middle, that's when it's not too far to the left, it's not too far to the right, it's right in the middle, it's just okay there. But when some outside force comes over and holds it way over here, way to the right, and then cranks on it, and just cranks on it and holds it, and it's just like bursting to go, and it's just sitting there. And then finally it's let loose. Does it go back down to the middle calmly? Or does it go crazy back to the left, the other way, and then bounces around before finally settling in the middle? You will be very happy when the price is settled in the middle. That ain't good enough for old Jay Snip. I'm going to be watching that old pendulum, so to speak, analogy, when it goes to the extreme other side. And the extreme other side is what I think Bitcoin, WebBot, originally called long ago. Perfectly, it was in the numbers were not was no trickery. It said $600 silver. Thousands of dollars for gold, but $600 silver. To me, that's the pendulum hitting over here, boom. And then coming down sometime later, $250, $300 an ounce. Maybe, somewhere around there. Because 300 was another number that had come up as well, but 600 was like the high of where silver. And it did say, at least the data, doesn't mean it'll be right, but the data did show that at some point, and it would be brief, we could see parity with gold. That would mean if gold somehow was $5,000 an ounce, and this thing with silver went crazy, whatever, that for a brief period of time, silver would be 5,000 ounce. That's what parity means. It's 1-to-1. I don't know that I would even feel comfortable trying to convince anybody that, hold on for that one. Like, don't sell until that. No, I'm not even going there because it could get that wrong, first of all. And it is quite absurd. That doesn't mean because it's absurd it can't happen, though. But I would feel a lot more comfortable selling in the hundreds of dollars an ounce, get rid of all my silver, House paid for, some toys paid for, this paid for, and some extra left over. That's what I plan on doing with my silver. But we have to wait for this crap to be dealt with. So, let's see. Again, I will be writing articles discussing this in detail. However, the primary gold and silver miners are few of the only companies producing real wealth in the world. It is a shame that market intervention or rigging is crippling the only industry that provides the world with real wealth. Lastly, even though I have shown how Fresnillo's PLC's profit margin has really fallen in the past several years, I believe this is one of the strongest primary silver and gold mining companies in the world. Most other gold and silver mining companies lost money in the past 2 to 3 years, but Fresnillo PLC still made some profits. And I'm going to share with you 2 mining companies I have my eye on in just a second. It's not this one, by the way, but I did look it up. It doesn't look. I think what he's saying, it's true. There could be some good upside to this company, but there's 1 and 2 companies that I think could be even more massive. And I'm going to share that with you in just a second. And I'm going to pull up the charts to show you. Furthermore, the best performing mining companies in the future, when the greatest financial Ponzi scheme in history starts to unravel, will be those who produce mostly gold and silver. What I mean by that is companies' revenues that predominantly comes from both gold and silver mining. Not copper, this one, that one, mostly gold and silver. For example, Fresnillo PLC's silver and gold metals sales in 2015 accounted for 91% of their total revenues. Compare that to Pan American Silver's 73% came from gold and silver. Regardless, the market has no clue just how undervalued physical precious metals are, as well as the primary gold and silver miners. When the fiat monetary fan finally hits the cow excrement, the market price of these extremely rare assets will surge higher. So, on that note, let me quickly pull these up for you. Give me a moment. Stock. We're going to go to the max. Next one. Let's go to the next one there. Get this up for you first before I start talking about it. Okay. Let me switch screens. Feast your eyes upon this. This first company is one of my favorite companies, and it's for one reason. Keith Neumeyer. He's been on Silver Doctors. He's one of the guys I talked about the other day, getting ready to jump on a class action lawsuit against the manipulating banks, the club. Keith Neumeyer of First Majestic Silver Corp. I want you to look at something interesting. They started out in 1992 at $4.67. It quickly went down to $1.67. Okay, but let's fast forward to some more realistic time. 2000, 2005. That's $15, $16, $20, $20, $21, $18, etc. Then all of a sudden, 2006, 7, 8 start showing up. And this thing is over $50, $68 there, $69 there. April 2008. Later in the year comes, we know what happened then. It came down, started to come down. 2009 rolls around, the big collapse we all got hit with, which, a managed collapse, you could say, from the club. Look at the lows of this baby in 2011, $13.15. Where has it been since then? Because we had a huge spike in precious metals in the beginning of 2011. So why don't I see this gigantic, enormous rising in 2011? The only rising you see is down from $13 to $24-ish, which is a great, if you bought in and sold, you just doubled your money. That's great. But it's 23 here, 16, 18, 15, 20, 11, 9, $10, $5. This is just last December, 2014, December, and into 2015. This was the time frame, by the way. Webbot said right at the end of 2015, So right around here, $3.58, roughly speaking. And it still declined a little bit more. Webbot said mining company stocks, along with Bitcoin and stuff, mining share, they're going to go up. Precious metals mining, they're going to go up in 2016. It's going to be a fantastic ride in so many words. So here are October 2015, $3.58 for shares of First Majestic Silver Corp, which is Keith Newmaker's company. Here's the low, $2.96, which was November 2015. 3, 4, 5, 6, $18 high. August 12th, 2016, dropped back down to where it's at currently, $7, $8, $9. I want you to think for 1 second, $18.10. That was the high, middle of 2016. Webbot said that was going to happen. We're going to see this jump in metal and mining companies. I thought in a later report it also said they may come down and then shoot back up even higher. But I don't quote me on that one yet. I'm not 100% sure. Do the math. $3. Well, let's round this off to $3. Okay, months before, $3. High of $18. 6 times 3 is 18. 600% increase in profits, whatever you invested. Or, put another way, 6 times your investment. If you had $10,000 and you put in on that at that low, you could have turned that into $60,000. You would think that precious metals would move the same way as these companies. They're mining the metal. Nope. For some reason they don't. I wonder why that is. Because they manipulate the price for the reasons I've discussed a million times. So, while I do have my nest egg, so to speak, in precious metals, physical, in my possession, I have been greatly considering, like, I can't get it out of my head that when this next YouTube/Google check comes in on approximately the 22nd or 23rd, I may take all of it. Not that it's a huge amount, but take all of it and either put 50% in this company and the other one in this other company, which I'm going to share with you in a second. Coir Mining Inc. is another one I want to talk to you about in a second. Maybe do half in this company, half in the other. Because again, you never bet something you're not scared to lose. So I'm not scared to lose this money. Number one, it's coming from my peeps. Kind of. You guys watch, these ads come up on my channel. I get that money, half of it, whatever. I can play with that money, so to speak. Helps me pay my rent, etc. It's a beautiful thing. I love you guys. But I can take that money and say, you know what, at $8, $7, $8 right now, I'm going to go take half that money, put it on First Majestic Silver, sit back and see what happens. Because if it does anything like this, look at this, $60, $70. And again, I'm in at $7, $8. What's $8 times 6? 6 times 8 is $48. You'd have the same kind of increase I just talked about a minute ago. This is not that long ago, folks. $2.99, January 29th, 2016. $3. So let's take a look at this other one. Coir, I think that's how you pronounce that, Mining Inc. They've also been around a very long time. They were around when the first massive increase in gold, $800, $50 silver happened, 1980s. They come out in July 27th, 1979 at $91. Jumps up that year to 172. What's this number here? I'm trying to get the mouse to stop. 200, 266 over here. This is what, 1987, $342. But having said that, it's still 90. 9 times 3, 27 or 270. So 9 times 4, we're getting a little close to 36 or whatever. It still wasn't as good as First Majestic, but impressive nonetheless. But then all of a sudden we get around to 2000, tech bubble burst, and then this thing is just down here, 10, 11, 10, 11, 9, 10, 11, 15, 16, 33. That's 2005, 70. Again, here's 2006. And while First Majestic was killing it in this time period, this company wasn't. It's actually going down a little bit. Then we had the bottom. There's 2008. We have the bottom. Look at this. Would you look at this? $5, November 21st, 2008. This thing, which was hundreds of dollars, even 90 when it first came out, and then hundreds of dollars, is down to $5. November 21st, 2008. Where did it go from there? 12, 15, 18, 23, 26, 27, 31, 25, 18, 17, 28. There it is again. It's back on the sevens. A dollar something, right? January 22nd, 2016, $1.75. Excuse me? And where's it at today? $10.89. So even a year ago, if you would have grabbed this sucker a year ago at $1.75, again, you can round that off to $2, and it's now $10, 5 times your money, 1 year. That's incredible. So both of these companies, I think, even at $10.89, could do fantastic. My only little issue, if you have an issue, here's a tissue. My only issue is that I'm seeing these prices and they look pretty damn good right now, both companies. But if this big crush comes, the market has to be dealt with. Webbot seems to think it's coming, and I don't see why it won't come, to tell you the truth. Could we see $1, like right now, $10.89? Can we see $1 to $2 on this company, and perhaps Silver Majestic, First Majestic Silver, back down to $2.90 something, and then we go all in with whatever side cash you got and ride that? Again, just looking at this chart, it looks pretty good right now. So the question is, do you buy some stocks, some shares, sit back and see what happens, or do you wait for the collapse when there's blood on the streets and then see what these companies are doing? Because again, First Majestic was doing great up into 2008. Fantastic. Then it hit, and look what happened. It got crushed. We had the low in 2009 and 10. It got crushed. Go back here, 2008. $44, down to 31, down to $5. So if this kind of thing happens again, as far as the stock markets and whatnot, and we're at 20,000 Dow, another thing the Webbot said we'd see, and then a crash would happen with the markets at some point. I think we may want to wait on this, and as they say, jump on it when there's blood on the street, so to speak. Because if you can get one of these things for $1, $2, and then as metals are let loose, those companies will also be let loose because they always go up too when metals go up. You may have numbers that are mind-boggling. Mind-boggling. That even holding physical precious metals won't be able to do. But the risk is you are playing with paper market stuff, and if the broker you're using, that you've got your account online and you're like, whoa, I've got $60,000 in my account, I only put $6,000 in there a little while ago, I think I want to take it out, and then the market crashes and all these margin calls go out for everybody, and that broker is getting nothing because everyone's bankrupt now. But you made the right bet. Your company's looking great. You try to get that money out. Oh, sorry, fund transfer cannot take place. Why not? Because so many people owe us money. Our accounts are in the red. We are in deep trouble. And just because you did well, other people did far worse. And it's all a big pile of money as far as the company sees. We're going bankrupt. Have a nice day. So you do have that risk. But again, if you can, it didn't happen then. This didn't happen then. People got their money in and out, no problem. Could we do it again? Again, if you put money in here on the side that's not that important to you, like, don't put your life savings in there, you can take a chance. And I honestly think I'm going to take a chance and wait. Not yet. I think if we wait for this crash, this next crash, it might be the time. Again, 50% of the money into this company, 50% in First Majestic. Sit back and see what happens. At first I thought I'll just go all in on First Majestic, but I found this other company that's fantastic. Both of them did great as far as I'm concerned. So that's what I think we should do. Well, we here at the J Snip 4 household, that is. And if you want to do it, that's up to you. But I will be following this, and if I do see some fire sale stuff happening, I'll let you know. Take care.